Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're having another little look at the blue Fiat here, because despite the fact I got it running relatively nicely for a while, enough to get it over here, we've got more issues that seem to be cropping up. Well, it's the same kind of issue, so it feels very much like it's running lean in the transition circuit between idle and main, yet we've got very sooty plugs which says it's running rich. So I'm kind of a little bit at a loss here, but what I am going to do is I'm going to stick a compression tester on it so that I can confirm whether or not it's got leaking valves, losing compression, and that might be why it's bogging down, or whether or not we've got a problem with the head gasket or rings or anything like that. So if you've not done a compression test before, it's relatively easy. Okay, so this is a compression tester that simply plugs into where the spark plug goes. What you need to do is remove the plugs, remove both of them, and then you crank it over, somewhere between 4 and 6 revolutions with throttle wide open, and then you take a reading. This engine's nice and easy to do it on because you don't have to disconnect any of the ignition, because you can just simply pull the starter lever, and because the starter's got permanent 12 volts, you can crank it over and you know it's not going to attempt to fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these plugs out. We're going to take a couple of compression readings, looking for around about 100 psi. Slightly less, slightly more is fine. It's very low compression though, so it will probably not be a hugely high number, but we're looking for no more than 10% discrepancy between them. And if any of them look particularly low, drop a bit of oil down the plugs to check whether or not it's rings that are causing low compression or whether it's something else. You'll notice, by the way, I'm not too worried about wide open throttle in this, because I've taken the carburetor off for cleaning, so it's not on there anyway. So on this cylinder we have 110 pounds of pressure, so that's quite good. That is dropping slightly, though that's possibly because where the engine stopped the valve is open, or more likely that my little gauge there is leaking. So let's just swap that over to the other cylinder and see what we've got. So let's go again for the opposite cylinder. Yep, and again almost identical. So we have no compression issues, which is good, because that means I don't have to try and pull the head and change the head gasket or anything like that. It does, however, mean that my problem is most likely to be carburetor related, because I've got no problems with any of the ignition or the timing or anything else like that. Still feels like an air leak, but I can't see where the air leak would be, because usually they are from cracked spacers, or quite often cracked spacers and bad gaskets. But we've got new gaskets that don't appear to have any blow through marks in them as far as I can see. I think I will slap the carb back on with some gasket sealant instead of paper gaskets, however. I don't know, that looks a little bit hooky there. Maybe it's leaking a little bit there. Well, I'll reassemble the carburetor and then put it all back together, and then we'll see how we go. But at the very least, that's how you do a compression test. Those are decent results for a tiny engine, so I'm pretty happy with how that is, how that's panned out at least. You may have noticed I've just swapped over to the the green car here, because actually this seems to be having very similar, although not identical issues, running issues to the blue car. Again, it's bogging down under load and stuff like that. And so whilst I'm here and I've got the compression gauge out, I feel I might as well have a little look at the compression on this one. This one's basically fully assembled, so I will have to get in and actually put the throttle down. Whereas the blue car's engine, I took apart and put a new head gasket and everything in it, so I know it's decent. This one has never been apart. All it's had is the tin wear off, so I'm not 100% convinced I know much about the inside of this engine, so it will be interesting to see what results come out of this, although I don't suppose for 1 minute that there's actually anything wrong. I think some of the issues with this are the fact that I chucked a carburetor on that I bought off eBay, and I did have a quick look at it before I put it on, but I didn't really go through it properly, so I think it really needs properly going through and setting up correctly. But we'll do a little compression test on this anyway. Yeah, well, that's actually got very healthy compression, so that's around about 120, so that's looking like a bit of a stronger engine, certainly on that cylinder. So we'll have a look at the other one. On cylinder number 2. And again, same reading. So that looks absolutely perfect, which again points to my running issues being either, well, it's not going to be timing because it's been timed about 50 million times. It's very unlikely to be spark, so it's very likely to be a fueling issue. So I've somehow gone from 2 cars that were running absolutely perfectly, I've changed nothing, and now I've got 2 cars that are bogging down when you reach about a fifth quarter throttle. It sounds to all intents and purposes like an air leak running lean, sooty plugs. Now, I'm not a noob at this. I've been doing this sort of stuff for years and years, but I'm scratching my head because I can't really find anything wrong with the carburetor on the other one. I'll rebuild it on the bench, possibly this video, possibly save that for another video. That way you can all have a look at what an IMB26 looks like, completely stripped. And then we'll put it on and see whether it runs. It's a head scratcher, but at the very least, gives me something to do to keep me off the streets, gives a little bit of content. There you go, guys. Every video is a little story, isn't it? In this particular case, it's yet another story of standing around in the cold, trying to diagnose problems that have appeared for no apparent reason. If anyone wants to drop me a comment and remind me why I like Italian cars and why I don't just spend time working on my old American ones, then feel free, because there are times when I really need a little bit of reminding. And if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel for some more updates, and till the next time, see you later.